What up? What up, Jonah? What's going on, everyone? So this is the first time that I've done a live. So I'm super excited to do stuff like this. And get more into doing like content and sharing kind of what's working for me, answering questions for you guys, what is working within real estate. What up, Jonah? What up, Brighton? What's going on, Andy? So this is something super new. So I'm super excited for you guys all to join. If you guys have any questions, we could just get straight to it. Atlanta Dispo in here. You should connect with Rocky Zidane and Will Coggins. They're in Atlanta market. They're buying more properties right now than dispoing stuff, but they're a great contact to have out there. So if you guys have any questions or need any help with anything, please drop questions in the comments, and let's see what I can help out with today. Whether it is real estate, whether it's fitness, faith, literally anything, I'm happy to share whatever is working for me to you guys. So yeah, we could kind of get after it. Rocky doesn't do microflips. Yeah, he's a buyer. Rocky and Will are buyers. They don't really wholesale that much anymore. So if you want to sell them a deal for them to purchase, I would say they're your go-to people. You can also contact Miriam Espona, something like that. Shoot me a DM. I'll send her IG to you, and you can start doing deals with her in Atlanta. She does a decent amount of volume out there. Fave high protein meals. That's a great question. I'm very simple. I like just straight steak. I like steak. I don't like chicken that much. Chicken's not that great, so I'll just freaking what I really like to do is I'll get like a pound of lean ground beef. I'll cook the entire thing, mix it up with a cup of rice, put some non-fat cheese in it, and some lettuce and avocado, and that's pretty much it. And I'll just eat that for a meal twice a day. And it's like 50, 60 grams of protein, something like that. They're freaking massive meals. So Luke, you should definitely try that. But I need to actually lock in my diet a lot better. I don't really like eat as much as I should. I just be eating as I can. And I pretty much intermittent fast, so I don't eat breakfast. I have a protein shake in the morning after my workout. I'll have lunch, typically like rice and steak or rice and chicken. And then dinner, I'll have like a big steak meal or chicken meal. So that's pretty much what my diet consists of. I don't really eat too much. Do I do commercial properties? I do commercial properties. And I'm currently looking for commercial properties in Arizona, like retail stores, old warehouses, old Walmarts, old Targets, pretty much anything retail, like within the city of Phoenix would be ideal, like Arcadia area. That's really where we're looking. If we could do like South Scottsdale, that would be freaking sweet. So we're looking to actually open up a gym in Phoenix. And so I'm looking for commercial property to obviously do that. I'm already a real estate investor, so I don't want to lease a building. It's like I might as well just own it. So if you have anything like that, definitely let me know. And yeah, I've wholesaled commercial buildings all over Arizona. I did an office space in Tucson. I've done we sold a storage unit. Where was that? In Pine Top. So we can do commercial pretty much anywhere too. So if you have commercial in Arizona, definitely let me know. We're also under contract right now in a 45 unit motel that's fire burned in Holbrook. That thing's kind of been a pain to sell, but you know, it is what it is. So yeah, I mean, we do commercial as well. So if you get any commercial properties in Arizona specifically, I don't know many commercial buyers outside of Arizona, unless it's like 30 plus unit apartments or like maybe some RV parks. I know some people for that. But other than that, if it's like a super niche type of building, it definitely needs to be in Arizona. So yeah, that's that about commercial. Let's see. Chris is super interested in Atlanta. When are you gonna post a dunk? Like, it can't be for nothing, dude. I just want to look jacked. I'm not really lifting for functionality, which is kind of bad. I should be learning to become more functional and agile, but I just freaking lift to look good and to be shredded. So that's really about it. So how many deals are you doing in average in AZ? What has been your key to consistency? In average Arizona market right now for us, we're selling about 3 to 5 deals a week. So we're closing, I would say, at an average of everything that we've done so far this year. We're averaging 12 deals closed per month. And what has been my key to consistency? I would say the biggest thing is just like learning how to show up. Like if you could just show up, that's it. Like it's more than half the battle. So if you can show up every single day and just do some of the work, whether it's for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, you're at least showing up. But I promise you, when you at least start and you start doing the work, like you will just get into flow state and actually start to do more things. It's like going to the gym, more than half the battle is like waking up and getting yourself to the gym, so if you could get yourself to the gym, you're going to end up working out and having like a pretty decent workout. Like even this morning, like my eyes are pretty red right now because I'm kind of tired, and it's because I didn't get much sleep last night, and I like woke up this morning. I did not want to go to the gym, but the hardest part was just getting myself out of bed, getting myself dressed, and then actually getting to the gym. And then the workout part is easy, so it's really just getting yourself into that place where you can actually go and just work, and just showing up there, you will become consistent. So it literally just starts by showing up every single day. That is how you become consistent. 3 to 5 a week is pretty insane. Yeah. I'm super blessed with the situation and everyone surrounded around me, because the people around me are absolutely amazing. And there's no way I would be where I'm at right now if I didn't have the people I have in my life. So make sure you guys are surrounding yourself around people that have like-minded goals as you do, no matter what it is. Like, my boy Felix is in the chat, and it's like I would show up to the gym every single day, and he's freaking jacked, and he would motivate me more to go and work out hard. So it's like, if you just find your people that have that same type of goal, whether it's the gym, whether it's faith, whether it's business, you just have to find people and surround yourself around them to then go and actually do the thing that you want. And like sometimes you may not even know anyone there. Like just go and show up, and then you can start talking to people and meeting people there. And then now you can have your group of people that have that same goal as you do, that you can surround yourself with, and you guys are all going and achieving the same thing. So that's huge too, is like literally just being surrounded around the people that have that same type of goal that you do. That's why I moved here to Phoenix. That's why I live in this house with my best friends, is because they all have the same goal as I do, right? Like they just want to make hundreds of millions of dollars within real estate and to help other people. And so it's like me surrounding myself around them just motivates me even more. Like the days that I don't want to work and I walk out of my room and I see everyone freaking working and crushing it, like it makes me want to do the same thing. So that's like rule number 1, is start surrounding yourself around other people. So that's huge. Tips you would give for a new micro flipper. How many micro flips are you doing a month? So I would say we're doing Consistently, we're closing about 12 deals a month, and I would say about 2 to 3 of those are from agents. So it depends on the month. Sometimes we have a really heavy agent month and a really heavy microflip month. But typically our microflips, we always do more microflips than agent deals just because we could get it all, like that's pretty much what I started with. So microflips are just super easy for us. And so really for new people that want to get into doing microflipping, I actually don't really recommend it to start out that way. I would start out with figuring out how to actually do acquisitions and learn how to find deals. It's much harder to try to microflip if you don't really know what deals look like and you don't really have buyers or other people that can dispo deals for you. So I would actually recommend starting off with doing some type of acquisitions, whether it is direct to seller, agent outreach, or something along those lines. I would recommend doing that because now you figure out, how do I actually get my name on contracts? How do I find deals? And once you can learn how to find deals, then you can actually just go and teach people how to go and get deals. And then that's pretty much half of it. And then you can go and get these people to lock up their own deals, and then you just help them dispo it. So I wouldn't really recommend starting off with micro flipping because I think it's a lot harder, and a lot of buyers are on a ton of wholesalers lists, especially here in Arizona. So you got to really find like a good niche of wholesalers that don't really send out a lot of deals, or they only do direct to seller. They don't blast their deals. And then you want to find a ton of buyers that don't really check their emails and stuff like that, just because you don't want to be sending people the same thing that they've already seen. So it's a lot harder, I think, to start off with micro flipping, which is what I did. Like, full transparency, I started off with micro flipping, and I don't really recommend it to beginners. I think it's much easier to go and get contracts first and then learn to do micro flips, because it's a much easier transition rather than going from like working with other wholesalers and then trying to work with real estate agents or working direct to seller. That's a much harder transition. So I recommend going and learning to get contracts, then going and working with other wholesalers, because now you already have all the systems, processes, all the back end stuff already kind of figured out, and it'll just be so much easier of a transition. Because always the direct deals will always be bigger than a micro flip. I mean, I've done decent sized micro flips, and for those of you that don't know what a micro flip is, it's essentially just working with another wholesaler that has deals and then selling it to either a buyer or another wholesaler that has buyers. And we do a ton of deals like that. So it's really just working with other wholesalers in general. And KPIs for doing something like that, I just recommend for everyone that is starting, is just really aim to have 50 conversations a day. So whether it's with wholesalers, real estate agents, buyers, even if you're going direct to seller and you're starting off, just have 50 conversations a day. You want quality over quantity. So 50 quality conversations a day will get you contracts, and you'll end up getting deals. So any KPI that I recommend, especially for beginners, is really aim for 50 conversations a day. If you hit 35, like, don't beat yourself up about it. That's fine. But you just really need to be connecting with as many people as possible. So just learn how to go and connect with people and find people that you could go and call and talk to. So I highly recommend that. Do I like the Phoenix market or Tucson market more for wholesaling? I actually really enjoy Tucson way more than Phoenix. However, I think it's a double-edged sword, because Phoenix, I think there's a lot more opportunity than Tucson. Where Tucson, there's less properties. Phoenix, there's just a ton of freaking inventory, a ton of buyers, a ton of wholesalers, a ton of properties that could be sold. So I think Phoenix has way more opportunity to fit yourself into a big market. However, I personally enjoy the Tucson market more. I think Tucson's just an absolute dog of a market. It's just so easy. to do deals there. I think even as like an investor to buy properties, I think Tucson's like the place to go because you still have really cheap price points. And you can actually still hit the 1% rule in Tucson, where like Phoenix, it's kind of difficult to hit. And the 1% rule should really just be like a general rule of thumb if you're buying rental properties. So the 1% rule is like if you're going to buy a property for $300K, you want to get $3,000 in rent. So that's 1% of the purchase price, right? So that's what you would want to hit just as a general rule of thumb when underwriting rental properties. And in Phoenix, I found it very difficult to hit the 1% rule, where Tucson, it's actually still pretty easy to hit the 1% rule, which I find pretty fascinating because it's only an hour and a half, hour 45 drive. But the Tucson market you really need to learn it because there's just like little pockets of areas that are like really, really solid. And then you could go like 2 blocks down and all of a sudden you're like in the ghetto. What up, Isaiah? So I think it's really interesting. Tucson's a great market though. I think it's the best market in Arizona. But that's just my personal opinion. I know a lot of other people would disagree with me, but I think that's also just because like I started off in Tucson and I think it's a really good niche of a market, like a secondary smaller market to start off in. And then it just grew and grew and grew. And what I really like about Tucson too, especially within real estate, is it's such a tight-knit community there. It's like you just everyone in the market. So it makes it easy to sell deals. And because you can figure out like, okay, this wholesaler sends a lot of their deals to like these couple of buyers. So whenever this wholesaler brings me this deal, I'm not going to send it to these people because I know that they've already seen it. So then I'm going to go and bring it to these other people over here so I can actually just go and freaking sell that deal as quick as possible. So that's what I like about Tucson. Where Phoenix, it's like we just have to blast everything because like so many buyers are on so many other wholesalers lists. So it's a lot harder, I think, to get niche buyers here in Phoenix, where Tucson, it's just people, it's such a tighter community. So I enjoy it though. So if you have any deals in Tucson or Arizona in general, let me know. Tucson, it's also a way easier market to learn just because it is so small. It's like a couple years or even like a year after being in the Tucson market, you really get to understand its neighborhoods and stuff. So then it becomes a lot easier to sell deals, underwrite deals. Like you could tell me, hey, I got a 3.2, 1,200 square feet in this zip code. Like what's the ARV on it? And I could just tell you right off the top of my head. Where Phoenix, I like really need to take a look at it just because it's so massive that you have so much more stuff to be able to look into when you get deals there. So that's why I personally enjoy doing deals in Tucson more. However, you could do deals literally anywhere. Where I know people in every market that just like absolutely crush it. Like people in California just say like, hey, I can't do deals in California. It's too pricey, this, and this. And like JP and his team are in this call right now or in this live, and they just absolutely crush the California market, like just unheard of stuff. So it's like, it's super cool to see what other people do in other markets. So it's never really, I talk to so many beginners that want to learn how to wholesale, and so many of them are just like, man, this market sucks. And I promise you 9 times out of 10, it is never the market that is the problem. It's the person working the market. You'll always be able to make your money somehow within that market. Like you just got to go and figure it out. Where like some people, that 1% of person that does go and change the market could just literally be something mental or something along the lines of like all of a sudden they just change markets and they just start absolutely crushing it in that new market. I've seen a couple people do that. So it depends on the person, but it's never really the market. It's always the person working the market. So if you're trying to come up with excuses on why you can't do deals, it's impossible, because there's people there that still do deals. The 1% rule is if the population in that area is over 100,000, if I remember correctly. So the 1% rule is just a general rule of thumb. And it's for when the rents hit 1% of what that purchase price is of that property. So for example, you go and buy a property for $200,000. Just a general rule of thumb, that property should be able to make $2,000 in rent. And so that's what the 1% rule is. And it's not a way that you should fully utilize to underwrite your deals. However, it is something that you should still just look at. Again, it's just a general rule of thumb, but it's not something that should be a decision factor and like, oh my gosh, yeah, I'm going to buy this freaking deal because it hits the 1% rule. And in some markets too, you could totally hit the 2% rule. Like in these cash flow states, like that don't really appreciate, like Alabama, Georgia, or not Georgia, like Oklahoma, Ohio, like those markets, sometimes you can hit a 2%. But I don't always recommend going and buying in those markets, because of the fact that they don't appreciate. A big reason why we get into real estate is because you want to place your money and watch it grow, not just place your money and just get cash flow from it. So that's why I really enjoy the Arizona market, is because you can place your money into a property, you can watch your money grow and still get cash flow. So it's both an appreciation market and a cash flow market. Yeah, and there's totally a fine line between doing too much and playing around with other markets. So you really want to just try and stick to one market. And even for strategies, like if you guys are like, man, do I go direct to seller? Do I try micro flipping? Do I try agent outreach? Do I try all these different things? Like, no, just stick to one thing. Like try one thing for like freaking 90 days minimum, and do that thing over and over and over again, and just keep doing it. And you'll see if it works out for you. So whether it's a market, your strategy, whatever it is, just try it out for 90 days. I find that 90-day rule it really helps to get consistent there. And typically you'll start to see fruit from all your labor that you've put in right around the 90-day mark. And then once you start doing it for years, then you can start seeing fruit a lot more often. And Missouri is a cash flow state. It's not really an appreciation state. You don't really get a ton of appreciation in Missouri. So like I heard this thing once, and it was like the states that appreciate the most, or where properties appreciate the most, are in areas that are bordered, where like you can't go and build more homes. So like that's why California and Florida, like prices are just so high there, right? Because you can't go and build more homes, because then you're going to start running into the ocean. Or, like Colorado, Utah, like these other places where there's a ton of mountains and stuff, where there's mountains, ocean, something that's bordering it to stop people from being able to build. That's where you're going to have a ton of appreciation in that market. So that's why Arizona, it appreciates pretty well, right? Because there's places where you just can't keep building, like, because there's a border. So just keep that in mind too. I think that's pretty interesting to think about, in where properties actually are appreciating, like these states that are typically really flat, they don't have oceans and stuff like that. They're typically not good appreciating markets. But what up, Joey? Doing great, man. Good to see you in here. But yeah, if you guys have any other questions, comments, or concerns, drop them in the comments and let's address them. But a little bit, I guess, while we wait for some comments to come in, for those of you that don't really know who I am, Obviously, my name's Matt Justice. I started wholesaling real estate in 2021 when the market was really, really hot, and I still didn't really understand what I was doing. So it was still very difficult, even though people were like, man, you could just lock up anything and sell it. I thought it was freaking crazy because I locked up a deal. I put $5,000 non-refundable on it. This was the first contract I got, and I thought it would just sell, but it didn't. And I was freaking trying to sell that thing so hard. And this is when the market was super hot. I thought people were just buying anything. That was the reason why I did that. And I couldn't sell it. So then I ended up canceling on it, and I lost $5,000 on my very first deal. Anyways, besides the point, I was just talking about a little bit about me. But I got into real estate in 2021 right after I graduated college. So I graduated college more confused than going into college. When I went into college, I knew exactly what I wanted to do with my life, which I thought was really funny. And then I graduated, changed majors, and went through all these things. And as soon as I graduated, I was like, man, what the hell do I do with my life? And so next thing you do after you're trying to figure things out is you go to Google. You know, Google has all the answers. So I went to Google and looked up, like, how do I make money fast? And real estate came up, and I was like, okay, real estate seems very stable. Like, how do I actually make money in real estate? And so I just started looking that up on Google. How do I make money in real estate fast without being licensed? And so wholesaling came up, and I was like, perfect, this is awesome. Like, I'm gonna get into wholesaling, and later on I can start buying properties. And so that was huge, and that brought me to where I'm at. Started looking up stuff on Google on how to get into wholesale, YouTube, how to get into wholesale. And so that's also a huge reason why I want to start doing content and start helping people get into real estate, is because there's a lot of information that I missed or I didn't fully understand. So I didn't have all the things that I needed when I first got started until I joined a community. And, you know, that really helped me get off the ground. And I highly recommend that for you guys too. For whoever's starting, is to just, again, get surrounded around people that have a goal of what you guys are looking to do. You know, so if you have any goals in life, like, find people who have achieved that thing or are super close to achieving that thing, and just surround yourself around them. Then you'll start to figure things out too. And that's why I joined the community. I joined Jamil Damji's Astro Flipping community and pretty much learned everything about real estate there. And there was still I got all the information that I needed. And in reality, it's like, you just got to go and take action. Like, if you can learn to just go and start taking action right away, then everything will figure itself out. Like, there was a while that I was reading a book every single day. I didn't listen to music for like 2.5 years. I was only listening to podcasts and audibles. And then all of a sudden it just hit me. And I was like, man, at the end of the day, like, we already know all the answers. We just got to go and take action, and we'll just figure it out. Like, you'll figure out if it works. If it doesn't work, what's up, Connor? So at the end of the day, like, we're already full of all this knowledge. We're already connected to God and Source. And like, all of this information is already within us. We just got to go and find it out. And the easiest way to go and do that is literally just by going and taking action. Not saying like, don't read books, don't listen to audibles, don't listen to podcasts and stuff. I still do it every once in a while, but I definitely have slowed down a ton, just because it's like, at the end of the day, we already know the answers. We just actually got to go and find it. So yeah, that's pretty much it. But if you guys have any questions about anything related to real estate, you know, fitness, faith, relationships, whatever it may be, drop them in the comments section, and let's get some good questions going. I would love to answer a couple more questions before heading out. So if you guys have anything, please drop your questions. Are you adjusting your initial outreach to agents at all with new cold texting / calling rules? Yes, I have totally adjusted my text campaigns with real estate agents because one, Go High Level, the system that I use, just automatically, I think it just has something against me. It just doesn't like me. And so we would go and send out like 200 texts in a day, and Go High Level would flag me. Not like the carriers. I wouldn't get marked as spam or anything like that. It was freaking Go High Level. They would mark me as spam, or they would flag me, and I wouldn't be able to get out as many texts as I wanted to. So we actually just dialed down our text messages. I think we were sending out like 50 to maybe 100 cold texts a day, which really isn't a lot, especially when you have, I have 3 acquisition reps on my team right now. So we have 3 people taking 50 to 100 conversations a day, cold outreach. And so we're just really dialing back our texting and upping our calls. I think calls are much more important, especially in the industry that we're in. Like, this is relationship based. So you need to really be trying to build relationships with people. And like, a text can do that, but there's nothing that builds relationships quicker than, one, obviously meeting people face to face, but 2, getting on the phone with them. So we're really trying to hit home cold calling. I don't know what type of rules there are with cold calling agents, because to my knowledge, they're licensed professionals that are allowed to be cold called. Like, as a licensed real estate agent, I don't think you can have your phone number on the do not call list. So you can just cold call real estate agents. I think it's becomes more, I gotta look into it more, but I'm pretty sure it becomes more of an issue when you're like on a 3 or 5 line dialer and you're dialing people like that. And when it goes and it hangs up the other 2 and 1 picks up, I think that's more of an issue. We have a single line dialer. And so we just cold call agents most of the day. And then also we're trying to hit the MLS pretty heavy. And so with the MLS too, it's great because we know that these agents can go and get, listings. So if we know that they're going to go and get listings, then they might have something coming up. So we can still go and use MLS. Then we can go and find off-market properties still. So it's really great. I like MLS a lot because there's also, how many ever listings there are in your market. All these people are just raising their hands saying, hey, I want to sell my home. I want to sell my home. So it's like, how the thing is like, what makes them, what holds them back from actually being able to sell is the price, right? So if you could get the property at the right price, then it's a deal. But MLS typically just takes a lot of follow-up compared to everything else, right? Like, everything takes follow-up, especially in business. But MLS does take a lot. And so you said, I think the rules are only with automated texts and calls. So what we do is we dialed back our text campaigns to outreach to agents. And then we're just calling them, right? But it's actually a manual call, so it's not an automated call. We don't have like a 3 to 5 line dialer, so it calls them one at a time. And that helps a ton. And then that way we could get them and say, yes, I'll send you guys properties. And then we'll put them into an automated text follow-up. And that's only, I think our text follow-up is every other week. And it's just like one message. And then sometimes we'll take them off and then call them a couple times, put them back in. But they've pretty much already opted in to like, yes, I want to talk to you guys. And then we'll put them into a text campaign. Just so then that way at least follow-up is automated and we're not missing every single follow-up, because follow-up can just become a ton, especially if you're a rep and you have like 1,500 agents that you talk to consistently. Like, that's a lot of people to follow up with. And so not every single person is going to be called, but we will definitely go and call our VIPs. Or another thing too is we actually ask the agents like, hey, how do you prefer to be followed up with? And so that's huge. If you go and ask these people how they prefer to be followed up with. So they could want to be followed up with text, or calls or emails, right? So if you just respect their boundaries too, typically you won't have a problem and you won't get like a ton of people saying stop to your texts if you're following up with them in the way that they wanted to be followed up with. And another thing too, you can ask them like, how often should I follow up with you? That's like another thing that we try to ask agents, is because we don't want to be blowing them up if they don't want us to follow up with them a ton. So that's how we kind of run our follow-up game. How does Jesus play a role in my business? That's a great question. Jesus is my business partner. He's someone that I look up to. What up, Hayden? I try to, us as business owners, at the end of the day, what we really try to do is serve other people. And if we could serve in the way that Jesus was serving other people, then I think that we're going to become very successful. And obviously success is defined differently for everyone. But Jesus is really important to our company, to me, how we try to communicate with other people. Like, obviously, if someone lashes out, we're not trying to lash out back. And at the end of the day, too, like, we do make mistakes. And that's why we all need Jesus, So I know there's definitely times where I may not have the correct response or say the correct things, or it could be a little mean or just direct or something. But at the end of the day, like, that's why, we need Jesus, is because we're not perfect. So Jesus plays a huge role in my business and how I kind of operate things with my team and how we communicate with everyone else. So, that's the role that Jesus plays in my business. Hayden, what's up, dude? You are a Christ-like example. I appreciate that, bro. Do you want to buy my deal? Let me know. Shoot me a text if you want to buy. What is that one? Dude, we need to do another deal together soon. All right. Well, let me know if you guys have any other questions or comments or anything. Let's get into some questions. Heck yeah. Let me know what he says, bro. Let's do a deal. Let's do a deal on live. That would be sweet. All right. All right, let me know, and I'll try and schedule a walkthrough. Any deals go sideways? Holy moly. Yes. I think out of every 10 deals, there's probably like maybe 2 or 3 that are just absolutely phenomenal. Like, they're just super smooth and nothing happens. Almost every single deal has gone sideways. Like, for example, I'll let you know right now. Let's see. Give me a second. Let me pull this up. So right now we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 that are supposed to close this month still. And which one's going smoothly? This one, this one's all right. I have a feeling this one will still close tomorrow. And that one should be an easy one. We should be good. That one should be good. Close tomorrow, or close on Friday or next week. And other than that, so we have a couple ones right now. These hiccups sometimes are just so freaking big that they can really screw up some deals. And I could give you an example of one that we have right now. We sold this deal. It was supposed to be like a 10-day close, and we sold it to a wholesaler that has a buyer, and we've worked a ton with this other wholesaler. We've probably done about 15 to 20 deals with this guy this year so far, and he ended up going out of town, and he's like a wholesaler that typically like goes and sets up the loan for the buyer and does a lot of the stuff for the buyer to actually get it to the closing table, which we don't always do. We will help get loans for people if that's what the buyer needs, but we don't do that for every deal, where he goes and does that for almost every deal. And he went out of town, and so we were supposed to close in like 2 days. And then he's like, bro, our title officer's like, hey, we don't have loan docs in. We're not closing in 2 days. And so we're like, okay, well, what do we need to do to go and get loan docs in? So we go and call him. He's like, bro, sorry, I've been out of town. The lender is like, hey, all right, so they just got this information that they're going to fund on this property, but they didn't have literally anything. And they're not a very traditional hard money lender. Like, they need like wet ink signatures and all these other stipulations to be able to fund. And so they're like, we need a minimum of 10 days to be able to close this thing. And so we got a 10-day extension. And then for them to be able to fund, we have to have the buyer sign, and those docs have to get sent to the lender directly, like through mail, not electronically. They need the wet ink signatures. And so then the buyer was supposed to sign yesterday and ended up not happening. And it was supposed to close yesterday. And so they didn't sign yesterday. So they signed today. I actually need to check up on it to make sure they signed. But after they sign, then title's going to take, all the docs, send them to the lender, and then the lender has to go and review everything and pretty much then approve it and then go and fund it. So it's supposed to close today, and we have to now try for another extension to see if we could close it on Monday, because the docs, if they just got signed, we send it today, it's not going to get to the lender until Friday. And then as soon as the lender gets it, then he can fund. So it's probably not going to fund until Monday. So yeah, we have a ton of deals that go sideways. And you can shoot me a message. I could tell you even more stories about deals that go sideways and all this and that, because some of them are a headache, but that's just what we deal with as being real estate investors. Like, we're going after problem properties, and a lot of these sellers have problems and have issues. So it's like, there's always something. And it's just learning how to adjust, learning how to take on these problems and get through them. Like, sometimes sellers will sign a contract and all of a sudden not want to sign. So you have to learn how to get that seller back on board to then still sign the deal. That way you can still close it. Or sometimes buyers will go and put down $5,000 and all of a sudden not want to buy it. So you got to learn to either go and find a new buyer, or you just got to learn to adjust. Like, there's always a ton of issues, especially dealing with problem properties and people that have problems. Like, that's why we could get deals at great discounts, and why a lot of these deals close within a couple weeks is because they all have issues. So it's just about learning how to take on these issues. How do I work with other wholesalers? So it really depends on who the wholesaler is. Some wholesalers that are more established companies will come to us and say like, hey, can you sell this deal? Or we'll see their deal on an email blast, or they'll text it out or something, and we'll have to go and then add a fee on top of their deal and go and send it out to our buyers. So that's how we do a ton of our business, is by adding a fee on top. But I also will help other wholesalers go and figure out buy numbers, how to go and lock up deals with agents. And a lot of that times when we're going and helping that wholesaler go and lock up the deal, we'll split the deal with them 50-50. But we'll go and help wholesalers lock up deals, negotiate with agents. We can definitely help negotiate with sellers, but that's not part of our business model. So it's not the thing that I'm best at. We're best at helping with agents, doing MLS deals and selling deals. So when other wholesalers have deals that they want to sell, a lot of the times they just come to us and we'll end up selling it for them. Is Sun City exclusively a 55 plus community? No, not everywhere in Sun City is 55 plus. I believe that there's like a little pocket in Sun City that is not 55 plus, But I would be safe to assume that majority of Sun City is 55 plus. Like if you're working a deal there right now, I would just assume that it's going to be 55 plus. Sun City is a very unique area. I don't really like doing deals in Sun City or really 55 plus communities. I mean, they're just a lot tougher. Like Sun City, for example, they have they're just like their own fee that every time a property trades in Sun City, you have to pay as a buyer. You pay $5,000 to Sun City. They just have their own fees, so you have to figure that into your cost as well when going and offering on these deals in Sun City. Sun City is a little tough, but you can definitely do deals there. But I personally don't enjoy Sun City deals. They're not that fun. Those ones typically have a ton of issues, and you need to get those cheaper than other properties within the Phoenix Metro. Any 55 plus community that you go and offer in is going to need to trade a little cheaper than a regular property would in the Phoenix Metro. And also you have to take into consideration with 55 plus communities, especially here in Arizona, on what time of the year it is. Because obviously Arizona is a huge snowbird area, right? All these people come here when it snows. And so like right now, from like November to probably about like February is actually the best time for these buyers to go and have a property to list in these 55 plus communities, because they could get more for it. Because all the people that want to buy there, all the snowbirds are typically 55 plus and they're all in town. So that's the time to go and sell them, is from like September to about December. That's the time where you could pay a little bit more for 55 plus communities. If you could get it listed by February, the latest, they'll typically sell a lot faster. Or other than that, like if you're in a 55 plus community here in Arizona, those things typically sit on market way longer. And that's obviously not that favorable for other people. Do I only do direct to agent? No, I don't only do direct to agent. A big portion of our business is working with other wholesalers. So we sell a lot of other wholesalers deals in Arizona. And then we also do direct to agent and MLS. And I think of direct to agent and MLS as two different business models. If you can do this business full time, you can totally do both. But there's still both different strategies, and the way that you communicate with an agent that has a property on the MLS versus when you're just cold calling and following up with an agent is a little bit different. So I think that they're different business models, but you could still definitely do both. But we do a lot of stuff with agents, but our primary business is actually just selling other wholesalers deals. People that need help locking up contracts, or need help with buy numbers, like they're not super confident in what number to go and offer the agent or seller. A lot of those people will come to us and be like, hey, what price should I pick this up at? Where do you think you can sell it at? And so we'll go and sell a lot of other wholesalers deals that way. Want to do a deal live on IG. Buyer came up, so we might be able to make it work. LOL. Which deal, Steve? Let's do it. Let's do a deal. But so there's really three ways to get deals as a real estate investor. And it's going with real estate agents, working with other wholesalers, or going direct to seller. So you can really just go and pick, and each one has its own different marketing strategies and different ways to go and find deals. So there's just so much abundance out there for you to actually go and find deals. So I think it's super cool to go and learn all these different types of strategies. And I don't recommend going and like doing all three right away. I think that's actually what hurts a lot of new wholesalers, is that they want to go and Steve, what price did they come up to? But you don't want to go and do three different marketing strategies, because it could just like, they're all different ways to find properties, negotiate with different types of people. So it just makes it really difficult. and a lot harder for you to actually become consistent. Like, you don't want to become average at a bunch of things. You want to be good at just one thing. So it's just focus on one thing. But that's why too, I started off with micro flipping. Then I started doing agents even before I got consistent, which was a huge mistake. And I stopped becoming consistent. Like, I did like 4 or 5 deals from micro flips, and then I was like, oh, let's start doing agent deals. And then every other month I would end up doing deals. So it became a lot harder to become consistent when I decided to add on agents. So I really recommend sticking to one thing, get consistent at that one thing, and just going from there. And then once you get consistent, adding that other thing into your business. But net to us, 255. I might be able to make that work. We should have David reach out to the supplier and see if they can make 255 work and be able to cut us in, because I know they wanted to net 255. So that would be super cool if we could do a deal on live right now. So let me know what David says. But all right, other than that, I mean, do you guys have any other questions? Let's see what else we could get into. I love all these questions. Don't die. And I don't have like a stand to charge it on. That'd be pretty cool. What is my main goal to close out 2024? That's a great question. So right now we're right around 700K in assignments for the year and 2 properties purchased. And I would really like to still try and hit $1 million for the year. I know now we're 300K away and we have like a month and a half left. But hey, anything is possible. So that would be super freaking cool if we could hit $1 million in assignment fees this year. And so we'll see how the year ends up. But I think really just learning to plan for the following year, because I definitely want to expand and grow where we're doing deals, and also to buy a lot more deals myself. So also just planning a lot on what to do for 2025. What's the smallest and biggest deal I've ever done? That's a terrific question. The biggest deal I've personally done was 30K, and I don't know if Hayden's still here, but shout out to Hayden, because he bought this deal from me in like 3 hours, and it was an amazing deal for him too. He has it on market right now, and they freaking crushed the flip, but I made 30K and 2 other wholesalers made like 50K on it, so it was a super insane spread on that deal. And then my smallest deal I've ever done. That's such a good question, because I've had a ton of small deals. I recently just did a deal for $500. And that was because I just wanted to perform on the contract. And I also can get a little petty sometimes. I knew that they had backup offers, and I didn't want anyone else to get the deal. So we just sold the deal for $500. And that's the smallest deal I've done that I have done recently. Last year, I actually did a deal that I had to pay $1,000 to get done. And that was obviously not a fun deal, but at the end of the day, like, I'm here to perform and I'm here to transact for other people. And there's a lot of miscommunication that went on with my supplier and with my buyer, and I had to bring $1,000 to the closing table to get the deal done. And that was a huge learning lesson of how to like deal with people. And how that deal, it showed me too, like if I just stick to my word, and that this buyer now, he just like, he thinks so highly of me. And he told me one time, he was like, bro, after this deal, if other wholesalers ever contact me, I just tell them, hey, if you want to ever sell me a deal, you got to send it to Matt Justice because he'll sell it to me. And so that relationship means so much more to me. I may have lost $1,000 on that one transaction, but the thing that I gained on it was just absolutely amazing and super big. So just, I think of it too, it's like, you know, if you keep hitting a ton of base hits, you're going to get some scores. So, I mean, we've done, like, I have one deal right now in for $2,000. I have another deal in for $3,000, another deal for $3,500. So not every single one of them is huge, but it's like you just want to be there to be able to transact. So I think that's huge. If you can learn to just transact, people will trust you, and then you can figure out the spreads later on. So I think that's huge. So when the wholesaler has a contract, who puts down the EMD? So I guess it really depends on what you mean by that. So like if I had a contract that I got from either a seller or a real estate agent, I would be putting down earnest money. And then when I go and sell the deal, I will have my buyer also put down earnest money. If a wholesaler has a property that's already locked up, and so they would be the ones that go and put earnest money down. And then if they send it to me and then I find a buyer, I have my buyer put down earnest money. I wouldn't put down earnest money on that deal. And that's just because your buyer's earnest money can fund yours, especially when it goes from assignment to assignment like that. And there were times too that even with real estate agents, especially when I first started, that I would still do that. Like I would just try to sell the deal as quick as possible because I didn't have money for earnest money. So I would have the buyers fund my earnest money. So that your buyer will always be the one putting down earnest money no matter what. If you have earnest money in, or if you don't, your buyer needs to put earnest money down in order to secure that contract. Is there a fee by city to scrape in Tucson? I don't know about a fee in Tucson to scrape a property. That's something that I would need to look into, but it definitely does cost you money to obviously scrape in Tucson. And what percent should you be at for a full gut in Tucson? It depends really how bad it is. If it's one that you need to go and I don't know, take the roof, fully replace the roof, HVAC needs to be replaced. You got to replace all the electrical, the plumbing. I would probably aim to be right around 50%. I think our average percentage that we're selling deals at in Tucson, so that's including land deals that people are going and developing on. That includes cosmetics, full guts, property. We've done a ton of creative deals in Tucson too, and some of those that we've done have been 100% of ARV, if not really close to it. So our total average in Tucson, I think, is 62 to 65%. So if you were to think about it, as a cosmetic rehab, you want to be selling it anywhere from 62 to 65% on average. And it still totally depends on the area. There's different areas where we could go and sell a deal at 70% in Tucson. We've sold a deal at 80% that was still cosmetic. So it really just depends also where you're at in Tucson. We have a deal right now that's a tear down rebuild, and we're selling it at 35, 40%. And we're probably going to end up needing to drop it to about 25, 30% of ARV just because of the area specifically. So it really also depends on where the property is. Location is huge. So just really try to pay attention to that. And also leverage me, leverage the Trainer Bros, leverage other people within your guys' market to go and actually run your numbers and see where you need to be, especially if you're newer and you're not sure. And always just go and get a second opinion. It'll always help. There's definitely been times where I was yo, I'm going to go and offer this on a deal. What price should I lock it up for? And they're like, bro, you could come up like 30, 40 grand. Like, that's a sweet deal. If you could get it at that price, that's a freaking rip. So it really just depends on the area, but always have people that you can go and get a second opinion from. Like, even now to this day, I'll still go to my dispo team and I'll be like, hey guys, like, where do you think that this deal sells? So always try to leverage other people. I think that's one of the biggest things that has helped me get to where I am, is leveraging other people and their skill sets and getting second opinions and stuff like that. So, with that being said, do you guys have any other questions? I'll wait a couple minutes to answer maybe like one or two more, and then my phone's on the charger. Need to throw my phone on the charger since it's at 4%. So if you have any other questions, I'll do one more and then hop off. All right. Looks like that's about it. Well, stay tuned for more lives. I'm going to start doing this more often. I'm going to be posting a ton more on social media and YouTube and just other things as well, because I just really want to be able to help you guys be able to get your deals done and get you guys your first deal. So if you have any questions about anything that I didn't get to or whatever it is, like, feel free to just shoot me a DM. I'm pretty responsive in my DMs, so just let me know. It was great seeing you guys, and thank you all for coming. I appreciate you all.